spirits. Welcome back to another episode of the Flying Upstream podcast.
Today, we have another guest on the podcast who's going to share the story of the unconventional path that took her to success.
That's right. With over 12 years of inner work, Nita blends ancient wisdom with cutting edge science to guide individuals to wholeness. As a certified trauma informed somatic and intimacy coach, nervous system expert, and spiritual teacher, her soul embodied method integrates spiritual wisdom, shamanism, quantum science, and advanced psychology for lasting transformation.
Nita's journey from corporate burnout to vibrant health, overcoming autoimmune overcoming autoimmune disease and embracing a sovereign path has shaped her expertise. Passionate about bridging science and mystical magic, she empowers clients worldwide through coaching, mentorship, and transformative wellness retreats. Nita, welcome to the Flying Upstream podcast.
Thank you both for having me. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Louisa. Long intro.
It was very well deserved based on everything that you do. And I want to start I'm going to call it the middle. Because I want to be able to understand what made you leave the corporate world and start your journey in holistic healing.
That's a beautiful question. Honestly, I didn't have a choice. It was my health. And I think you guys mentioned at the beginning, like I was battling with autoimmune, and it got to a point, it was both Hashimoto, thyroidism, and many things. So I didn't really have a choice. I was like stressed to a point where I was completely burnt out. And, especially as a female in corporate, in leadership roles, and managing many projects, I had it. So I had to take that sabbatical. I had to like pause and go on a healing journey. And I'm so happy I did, because it tremendously changed my path. The universe will show you signs, and I don't know if you've ever heard of the people, what was it, like, you have to leave a home and little things will happen. The home, like the water won't work and things are not like shifting properly, and there's so many resistances, and finally you don't leave and the house burns down. That was like that moment. I was like, okay, health is wellness. That health is wealth. I need to take care of myself first.
That's so refreshing to hear that you're tuned in enough to listen to your body and pick up on those signs around you so that you didn't burn down. So, first of all, kudos to that. I think a lot of people ignore those signs because we do what we think we should do. We should be successful, have a good job, work our way up the corporate ladder, buy a big house, all the things that society tells us. And in taking that turn and taking some time for yourself, I understand that you kind of came into this soul embodied method. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you tell me what is it and how does it help people heal?
Of course. I mean, soul embodied method is essentially, I went on this healing journey, right? Healing and spiritual journey. And I've trained with many different healers, somatic therapists, sound healer, did yoga teacher training, and all of these certifications and many experiences I've had, including, I'm very open about it, including plant medicine. I have learned a lot of different methods, a lot of different techniques, and just took out all the pieces that worked for me. And then I just tested it out with different coaching program and clients I've worked with, and realizing the key missing piece for me was a lot of it was embodiment. We do so much mindset work in this world, like you just have to believe it, you can do it. And our nervous system is this ancient system that's still like an animal from the ancient days. It's like, okay, how your body actually sometimes needs to really feel it over and over and over again until it feels safe to truly embody the epic love you're calling in, the epic wealth, or the business, whatever you're calling in. If it's not happening right now, one, it's like divine timing, but second, it's your body. It's the capacity to hold all of these things. And if you're holding on to trauma imprints from your childhood, womb, even generational, wow, like it needs to, you need to become empty before you can embody the higher soul purpose you came here for. And it's not about suffering, it's really about pleasure. It's about trying new things, and the universe doesn't care like about, you know, whether you're suffering or not. I mean, of course it wants the best for you, but the universe wants to expand, and it'll show you the paths for you to expand so you can truly learn, like, you're the only one who's getting out of your own way.
I love that. Very much like you're the only one getting in your way. You
Yes.
are also the only one getting out of your way. And I think that's so important
Exactly.
to say. I love the way that you said the other thing too that you said was, you know, it's not about suffering, it's about enjoying it because even personally, my own spiritual journey, I have always looked at it as all the suffering that I had to go through to get here. But maybe like a little bit of a shift, and just even the way that you said it was so beautifully said that if we did start to look at it as we can enjoy this process, I think maybe less people would be like afraid of this thing when we call healing, and we're like, we need to heal and we need to heal our wounds, and people are like, that sounds bad, that sounds painful.
Hmm.
um, so I'm very grateful for the way that you're sharing that message. And I want to kind of go backwards a little bit because you mentioned a couple of things that I think are really important to touch on. So you overcame this autoimmune disease and you didn't rely on traditional medication, and you mentioned plant medicine. How did all that work together to help you achieve that, overcoming such, something that was probably really affecting you?
Yeah. Wow, I mean, it has been so many years and so many layers of of this journey. So everything, and it goes back to part of the soul embodied method, is we have four bodies: the spiritual, energetic body, the mental body, the emotional, and the physical. So when something appears, disease or anything appears in the physical, it came in the energetics first, and it came down to the thoughts and the mental. Then it's the emotions that we suppressed or repressed, and then it's like, hello, crying for help, it's in the physical, right? So the it needed like all approaches. So it was and let remind me of your exact question again, because I don't want to go around it too much. I want to make sure I directly answer it.
Of course, I'd love to know how, if in any way, plant medicine played a role in your overcoming the autoimmune disease.
Okay, so there's one plant medicine that helped me with the autoimmune directly, and it's called Kumbo. And I'm a Kumbo practitioner as well. So Kumbo, are you two aware what Kumbo is? And I will explain it as well. Okay, so Kumbo is venom from a frog of an Amazon. So this beautiful frog, in many tribes, they use Kumbo, and what it does is clears out all four bodies, any energetic imprints that we have. So it's a really powerful medicine. And so how it works, it usually the tribes, men especially, when before they go in hunting, they would take Kumbo, they vomit everything out and clear out their energy body and get immense focus. Now in modern medicine, Kumbo is being used in many different countries. It's actually been approved in many different countries to heal diseases and even cancer, autoimmunes, a lot of different things. And it's incredible for cleansing your body at the all four levels. So this has been a huge ally of mine personally, and I didn't come into it much later in my process. What was helpful in the beginning was just cleaning up my diet, just cleaning, clearing, forgiving, you know, like all the understanding that we hold all of the trauma imprints or even disempowering emotions like anger and resentment in our organs, in the fascia, in our body. So doing a lot of that work, and then it came the plant medicine. And Kambo is not psychedelic. So what you do is you make like a burn mark and you uh, put the venom, right? And before that, you drink 2 liters of water. So it just wakes up your endocrine system. It like you vomit everything out. You may go to the bathroom, or some people, depends on the reaction, you may not. But you know that it's working with your body, it's working with your endocrine system. You do need to go to a practitioner who has a lot of knowledge. Just don't go in the jungle and do it, please. Just make sure that you are going to the right source. Yeah, it's an incredible medicine. So I'm happy to answer any question about it, but that was one of the things. A few sessions of that already cleared out everything. But keep in mind, I had done the work before. The mental work, the emotional work, the somatic work. A lot of my work comes through breath work and somatic practices. So, and also the final pieces of there are many other medicine out there. There's a medicine called peyote. I live in Mexico, so in the north of Mexico. You have peyote, which is a plant medicine that is a cactus. So it's a mescaline, and it's a very masculine energy as well. So peyote can help with father wounds. It's a fire energy. There's Wachuma that's in the Andes. That's again a masculine grandfather energy. You may have heard of ayahuasca, which is comes from the Amazon, and it's a she, like the feminine, and ayahuasca has this contract with Mother Gaia to uplift the consciousness. So not everyone is meant to drink ayahuasca, but those who do, they do a very different multidimensional spiritual work around this. It's a very healing for ancestral, generational womb healing. So many plant medicine exists. I use them as ally. One of my ally is mushroom. I had a post-traumatic disorder with mushrooms. So something re-traumatized me. I had a really crazy childhood and a lot of abuse that took place. So when I first opened into this world, you're in high school, your friends are trying new drugs and things, and I've taken I've smoked marijuana, or maybe I tried mushrooms in the later years, but I didn't know what I was getting into. Settings matter. So all of these medicine, I do it in a very ceremonial way, and even I go deeper in my retreats and do somatic therapy with mushrooms, which is really really powerful, especially in our child work. But it can channel many different how do I say, like it can channel many other medicine as well. That has been like the key component of like those who go work deeper. This is all optional because I am a trained coach. I'm a trained somatic therapy. We don't go into any of this integrational or plant medicine work until I know someone is fully ready and it's a full body yes for them. And that's the main thing. A lot of people go into the spirituality, they just think they're going to have lots of different ceremonies and go to all these places and they're going to be fully healed. You have to understand these plant medicines came from indigenous cultures. They don't know what it's like to live in the real world and what kind of pressure we're in. They have a completely different idea, and they intake this medicine for their world, their context of the world, their model of the world. So they don't understand our model. So you need someone who's deeply ingrained in this work with a shaman, with proper facilitators and integrative therapists.
Wow, that was fascinating, Nita. That was such a great education. I had no idea about all of the plant medicine that you just mentioned. I found it particularly interesting that a couple of the ones that you mentioned, you talk about it clears you out essentially, right? Like you're throwing up and other things.
Mm-hmm.
And contrasting that to traditional medical practices, which are typically you take a pill, something happens inside your body, and then you're healed. It's not the same concept of what you're saying, which is toxins out, bad things out, right? And the other one
Mhm.
is like we're taking it and it stays inside your body. So just to flip to the other side for a minute, I'm curious to know, what do you think about like the traditional medicine practices? Like, how do they limit our ability to heal ourselves? And how can we truly tap into our innate healing abilities for people who may still be in the traditional medical mindset?
Absolutely. I mean, for example, what I was diagnosed with is a hypothyroidism and a Hashimoto. Any autoimmune is attack in our system, right? Our system thinks that organ or whatever that is foreign in our body. So that could have happened in several different ways. It could have happened because our nervous system was too overwhelmed and it couldn't take on the stressors. So any medicine is not getting to the root cause. And I'm all about getting to the root cause of all four bodies, not just one. So, and the medicine is just the physical, it's working with the symptoms. So, like, you get a headache, you take a pill, and okay, you're okay for a bit, but like, why did you even get a headache? Is it because you're not getting enough minerals in your body? Are you not absorbing properly the minerals? How is your gut health? Our gut is our second brain. So all of these that we talk about, it's a holistic process of understanding your body in terms of how your organs are signaling. And that's where the nervous system comes in too. It's not about just putting a pill in. Our nervous system, if we don't feel safe, we're constantly scanning for danger, it's on mode. So especially as women, we are constantly scanning whether we're safe in our environment or not. So we're already like a higher cortisol level. And our if we think you're being chased by a lion in the ancient times. Let's say you're a deer being chased by a lion. You need to run, fight, or free, like, faint and say play dead or something like this, right? We have these automatic responses for our nervous system. Now, our modern day lions are deadlines, taking care of our family, finances, all these chores that we have. So our system is like on mode. And what happens, our system is on mode, our thinking brain is not working, our digestion and immunity shuts down. So it's really key about understanding all of this is getting to the point, like, your doctor will be like, oh, you're just stressed out, lower your stress. Well, you have to understand, well, how do I even lower my stress when my nervous system is automatically wired to think I'm always in danger when I'm not? So a lot of these practices come in more of a holistic standpoint. So yes, there are times you absolutely need Western medicine. Like when I said the the last level is disease. And really lastly is death. Like when you have that, you need the Western intervention. But all of these cleaning, that everything that you're doing day to day are compounding interest. They're habits that you're forming to have a better whole and wellness body. And we have so much capacity and so much energy if we just worked with all of these different bodies to understand that, yes, at first the cleaning is necessary because our environments have toxins. So whether our liver and our gallbladder, everything is there to clean the process. We've just taken on so much processed food, stress in our life, and our lifestyle is so different holistically that it is necessarily at one point in your life when you go on this journey to completely clean out your physical body.
I love that. It's so true. I love the way that both you and Kristen, um, you know, gave me a visual there because the difference is, very. It was very clear to see what the difference is with Western medicine and the way that we mask things versus clearing out. And
Yeah.
one of the
And to
things
go
that
back to that, if I may interrupt, like I think one point I this is the one important thing to understand, is whenever you're diagnosed with an autoimmune, you have to take a pill for the rest of your life. There's no cure. And this is evidence there is cure. There is. It's just like a step-by-step process, and you need patience. You asked about the body's innate intelligence to come through. That was such an important question I want the audience to understand is, yes, we have that. Once you get out of your own way, and you don't need to use your thinking brain to figure things out. Just get out of your own way and let your body guide you towards that innate healing. So that was such an important question that you asked, and I wanted to go back to it.
Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you for elaborating on that. I think that can be missed sometimes. And this brings me to my other question. I think it kind of just segue very perfectly here is how much does our attachment to control hinder our ability to heal?
Ooh. Yeah. So I coach men mostly these days. I've done a lot of program with women. I see this most in men because control is a very masculine quality. So I love this question. And I'm quite coming from corporate world. I have the tendency to be masculine. And we all have that, the masculine and the feminine polarity. So we want to project manage and control our way through our entire life. And I want you to imagine, like, when were the times when you wanted something to happen and like it was just not happening? You're like, oh, I surrender. I surrender. What's happening? I'm going to just give it to source, give it to God. I give up. And then bam,
Yes. Yep.
those are your evidences how yes, you want a vision, you want a clear direction. That's the masculine. You want to create a beautiful safe container, but then like the you want to magnetize your dreams or a dream life, and that's the feminine aspect. That's boundless, anything is possible, the desire, right? So you need both. You just need to know, like, when, and the settings when you apply more control over, you're in a surrender state. So I personally think the control, the masculine, and all of those are foundations. You build up the foundation, and it's the same thing with manifestation technique or anything else. You have a level of foundation where you feel safe, where your body feels safe, right? And then you surrender, because
And
that,
you
yes,
let the magic happen. You let it come to you. You let the universe and the divine forces to step in for you and to go ahead and help you co-create that vision that can be hard, I think, in practice when we can't get out of our brains.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You're saying, Nita, is really resonating with me, and I want to take it a step further. How do you think the unconscious mind influences our physical and emotional health? And assuming that it does, what techniques can we use to access and transform these subconscious patterns?
Absolutely. Wow. Uh, this is I'm a nerd. I love talking about this. Our, our unconscious mind runs 95% of our lives. Can you imagine? So until you make your unconscious conscious, this is by Carl Jung, it's it's gonna ruin your life. Or it's gonna run your life, and you're gonna think is God or faith, whatever, right? So your unconscious mind is so important. So it's really important to dig up like your belief system, the model of the world. We tend to filter, delete, distort information that comes in. Our unconscious brain takes in and puts it into places. So, what are the beliefs that came in from our society? For me, it was, the truth that was fed to me was, hey, you need to take this pill for the rest of your life. And I did for a long time, until one day it didn't make sense anymore. I said, this is, who told me this? This is not my truth. I can heal this because I have seen myself perform miracles. I have evidences of others. I went and searched on the internet. So it's whatever you're filtering in. Think of your unconscious mind as social media. Whatever you're feeding that in, if you're not curating exactly, if you're not following like inspirational people and people that you really like, and you're just on TikTok or Instagram just scrolling randomly, that's what you're feeding in your unconscious. We have to be very careful on what we're telling our unconscious mind, what we're feeding our unconscious mind. So that's why that dig up process is really important, to understand where your belief systems came from. And from 0 to 7, when we're a child, we're in our theta brain. So we're absorbing and creating our model of the world, our belief system. So whether our caregivers, our mothers or fathers, we're taking in their belief system. I talk about the nervous system, which actually gets formed in the womb. So you can even have generational beliefs and systems from from the DNA to our nervous system. That's like a one way. And none of these to scare you, is to make you more aware that your thoughts are not you. They're just thoughts. They're your authentic self will arise when you start to question everything. Really start to question everything, and then that the deeper part of you, the higher self, will really start to come through and be like, that doesn't quite resonate. And I deeply have this knowing, and it took a while. Sometimes when things like land, I feel it in my body. It's like, oh, that feels like a yes. Something when I'm like, this is unsure, and where that's like the ego coming in. And ego is neither bad or good. You can play it as an ally if you want, or you let your ego run, which is like the conscious mind, the 5%. It's just the tip of the iceberg. So yeah, it's just going back to digging up all the beliefs, digging up like whether it came from your mother, father, uncle, the society, the belief of others, and then start questioning them. So if in terms of health or in terms of anything else, if someone has told you, okay, you can't heal this, and you subscribe to that, well, of course your unconscious is going to be like, no way, I can't heal this. And you fall into that victim mode, like, this is going to be rest of my life. I just have to take this pill. I'm always going to feel not energetic or fully me. And this is my life. You subscribe to that.
Yeah, I hear
Or
that.
you can have the opposite, right? You can feed your unconscious with motivating things that you really are be like, it's possible for me. I want to start feeling more and more pleasure in my life. I want to start feel good in my life. I am worthy. I'm whole. The more I care for myself, more I can provide for others, more I can give others, then you're gonna see the more possibilities.
Yeah, I want to go back to something that you mentioned because it's so prevalent, and I think we're all subject to it, which is, technology. You mentioned social media specifically, but big picture, technology has such a big impact in how we live our lives. And there seems to be, a lot of what you talk about. I think we have to be connected with ourselves in order to be able to be aware. You mentioned, like, when you feel it in your body when it's a yes, it lands. And in my own experience, I do know that you have to be connected to yourself. I didn't experience that. I didn't know what a yes meant or what was true and what wasn't true until after my own spiritual awakening, because I was so disconnected from myself prior to that. How do you think technology contributes to that alienation and that disconnection from ourselves that I think really keeps us from being able to reconnect with our true selves, to be able to even be aware of what is coming from our conscious mind and our unconscious mind, and what programs we're running essentially that we are allowing to make us or think that we're victims of this life that we've been giving, rather that we're co-creators to it.
Right. Wow. Mm. Technology it does play a huge part. I think one of the main thing is we're living in a society of kind of like loneliness and isolation, right? So, and we're meant to live in tribe, in communication with another, within a family. Like for me, it's really important to have a good community. One of the, or like eat meals together, do certain things together in person, in presence. And technology makes things easier. But when it's something as simple as texting, that's not true conversation. It's still like picking up the phone and having a conversation, or sitting together, and having that deep, intimate moment. And we all need that. We healing this, when you're going through spirituality or in kind of awakening or any of these process, we are better together, and we are better in multiple people. 1 plus 1 is more than 2. It's infinity. So when we're living in this society of isolation, and we're just thinking like, oh, I have this business and I'm going to do it all by myself, like, you're not alone. Once you start talking to others, once you start being vulnerable and sharing your stories, just like you two have created this beautiful platform, others like, oh, I'm not alone in this journey. So imagine if you can create a blueprint of people. Technology is important, by the way. Like, I use AI, but imagine if you can just create a blueprint of all the people that you can ask for help if you're going through a tough time. Whether it's your mother, father, best friend, therapist, dentist, whoever you're connected to, start writing all the people that can help and support you when you're in this, going through this journey, instead of like going on to TikTok, or just texting someone and being alone and scrolling. Like, wow, like, it's such a difference when you just have like all the names that you can think of, like people can that truly support you. And it's a constant journey in, um, as I mentioned, I coach a lot of men, and they have this thing where they go from boyhood to all of a sudden they are like the provider or father. They don't have that initiation period. They're like doing it by themselves. And like, do you have a men's group? Do you have a coach or a therapist? Like, you need a support system. You're not alone. When you are running a business, it's 2 of you together doing this podcast. How, imagine like if one of you were like, I'm going to do a podcast, and if you didn't have an accountability buddy, maybe you would have never launched it. So it's like, you're in this together. So it's about like, technology has really created this isolation, as well as obviously 2020, the C era. So it programmed us in a way to think that we have to do things alone. And I just want to inspire everyone to really create that blueprint. I have it. I actually tell everyone to create it, and realize that you're not alone. And in a way, technology, social media, all of this can be very addicting. It's a coping mechanism. And it's something we resort to when we are when we feel very closed up. It's easy way to escape, just like it could be with drug, alcohol, porn, anything. It's that. But or you can use it for your good, by saving time. AI is example of that, right? You can easily create a podcast script and like an outline, and makes life so much easier, and it can be done in like 10 minutes, which before you'd have to sit and write it out. So it really, based on how you look at it and how you use it.
That's such a great answer. I appreciate that you are not just slamming down technology, that you're acknowledging there's 2 sides of it. And we do have the choice. We have the free will to use it in the way that is either helpful or less helpful to us. So as we start to wind down here, I want to thank you so much for being with us today, Nita. And we've saved the best question for last. So we've talked so much about your journey and helping other people in their journeys. I'm really curious to know what your thoughts are on the future of healing and what role will spirituality, consciousness, and energy medicine or plant medicine play in shaping our health and well being?
Yeah. Wow. What an amazing question, first of all. Um, I often have wondered like this because I do live in a community. There are a lot of healers of all sorts, they play a lot of modalities, whether it's Reiki, breath work, um, plant medicine, shamans. I have access to all of this. You do have to understand I've chose this life and I live in a very privileged world. I can imagine when you live in a society where you don't have access to this, it can be very intimidating. So, knowing that healing is just a journey, it's not linear. I always go, it's a spiral for me, of like sometimes you feel like you're going back to the same problem over and over again, and you're like, I worked on this. Just know it's a different layer, there's deeper process. So, what I tend to do is I no longer subscribe to that healing kind of mindset. Like we're always transforming. We're always like stepping into the newer version of us. And yes, I understand like a lot of our journey in the spiritual awakening that initially it was a necessary step to heal, but we don't always have to subscribe to this word or change our reframe healing into like I'm becoming just more and more me. I'm magnetizing my life. Just like having a different reframe to healing already takes off the burden. So I wanted to share that because I had to go through that journey. And now, instead of being like, oh, I have to heal this ancestral trauma to figure out my money blocks or something's happening in my business, which is like a true mirror in my life. And I need to figure out what I need to heal to do this. Like, no, it's like everything is coming, everything is okay. So it's more about self responsibility and taking in, like, you're not going to a healer because they have these magical powers. I am no different than anyone else. I've just put conscious effort and work into my inner work. So I've taken responsibility. I've said, I'm no longer subscribing to this victim mindset. So healing is all about taking on full responsibility and realizing that you are here to, of course, like the community aspect is important, but you are the only one that can really, really make choices and decisions that are the best for you. What might work for me, like if one modality works for me, may not work for you. It's a whole different journey. And we're all here. I truly believe Ramdas says this, we're all each other here to take us home. And our that authentic home is very different because we're pieces of that puzzle together. There's this great Hawaiian mantra, Ho'oponopono. It's about to take full responsibility and to make things right. So if something we feel is outside of us, there's also inside of us. And do you guys know about this? Do you ladies know about Ho'oponopono and the story? So very quickly, the Ho'oponopono is to make things right, and it's a great forgiveness practice. So I encourage everyone to Google and learn about the true story behind it. There was this psychiatric mental center, and there were a lot of uh, patients that were just going really crazy and nothing was working. So this Hawaiian shaman, psychologist, and a healer came in and he read this one mantra. It was Ho'oponopono. It's usually translated in English as um, thank you, I love you. I forgive you. And okay, I'm mumbling the mantra exact translation, but it's like I forgive you. Please forgive me too. I thank you and I love you. Goes like this. Different lineages have different translations, so that's why. And it's really taking on the full responsibility as something is showing up in our reality or someone else is, you know, behaving a certain way towards you. It's all in our field to heal this. So taking on full responsibility to just say this mantra and mantra of forgiveness. Who are you really forgiving? You're forgiving yourself. So once you forgive yourself, your outside world changes. So as he did that, he looked at each patient and he read their name aloud and said Ho'oponopono. And within just a couple of months, people were healing. And he was asked, what did you do? He just said, I did this. And I pictured themselves in front of me. And I noticed they are my brothers, they're my sisters. And it's my responsibility to heal whatever's within me that's judging them as maybe as either victims or mental health patients, and knowing that I'm seeing them as whole. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That you have shared so much wisdom. I hope that we can have you back to talk even more about this because there's so much to what you're saying that resonates. And I hope that it resonates with some listeners as well. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your insights. Your passion for holistic healing and spiritual growth is really inspiring. So thank you so, so much. And to our listeners, remember that you have the power to heal yourself and create a life of abundance and joy. Embrace your unique path, trust your intuition, and let
Mhm.
your light shine. Until next time, keep exploring the depths of your soul and flying upstream.